Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Dark Powerrr. We break down everything that happens on AEW Dark Elevation and NWA Powerrr. Some interesting things to get to, some developments on Powerrr as we move things forward towards Hard Times. We're going to do a Hard Times 2 preview, but not too otherwise that exciting of a week when it comes to Dark and Elevation. But let's get right to it right after the jump. Alrighty, guys, we are back. And once again, I must remind you, hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe. If you have not already, we appreciate all of the times that you guys have been a part of this True Heel Heat community and all the times you will be part of this True Heel Heat community when you engage with us. It makes everything that we do worthwhile, trust me. So let's talk really quickly. Elevation, not that much happened on Elevation this week that stood out to me. That's just the name of the game. That's what they've turned Elevation into. And as somebody who I was in the crowd for the Dynamite here in Chicago, I got to say, we had an Elevation taping before the show. I think that they would be well rewarded if they let some of these guys and gals have promo time during Elevation. That was kind of the point of Elevation, to help elevate these talents. I think that having them have some promo time would be pretty good. There's nothing wrong with having somebody who's a low level, we'll say, heel, either on the lower mid card, even mid card heel, coming out, cutting some kind of promo, and that leads into a match maybe. Or it doesn't even necessarily need to lead into a match. Or better yet, it can do something that leads into a match the next week on Elevation. They've been pretty good at booking that kind of style for Rampage, but I think that they could easily do it as well for Elevation. Meanwhile, on Dark, we started off with something that definitely did stick out, and that was this here tag match between the Dark Order's John Silver and Alex Reynolds and the Infantry, Carly Bravo and Sean Dean. We got to always point out that they call themselves, well, because commentary noted it, Taz and Excalibur, that Carly Bravo and Sean Dean call themselves the Infantry, but I'm pretty sure Sean Dean was in the Navy. And actually, no, I know Sean Dean was in the Navy. I'm pretty sure Carly Bravo was in the Marines, but I might be wrong about that. But either way, a pretty good tag match here, got the crowd going. This was, I gotta say, nice to see Carly Bravo and Sean Dean back on TV, so to speak. But they are a tag team that I think can make some noise in AEW if they continue to have these good matches. And when you're in there against a team like Reynolds and Silver, who have a long history on the independents and know what they're doing, you get a chance to shine even more. Another match that stood out to me was this one right here, and this is when the Acclaimed have their weekly appearance on Dark or Elevation, and they had a match against Glock Anderson's child, a.k.a. Brock Anderson, and Big Lee Shotty Johnson. This was a good tag match. I liked it. The Acclaimed did a good job of getting heat. As always, Max Caster's raps are on point. But when they got into the ring, they handled their business. The Acclaimed picked up the win here over Shotty and Brock. But it was a good match. I got to say that I liked some of the key spots throughout. And, I mean, what can we say that we haven't already said about the Acclaimed over all the weeks that we've been here on Dark Powerrr and they have appeared? They are a tag team that are made to be tag champions and a solid run as heel champions. But we got to talk about the third and final match that stood out to me from Elevation, and that was the main event. That was Lee Moriarty taking on Nick Comoroto. This one was a really good match for what I was expecting from Comoroto, which is not a huge hell of a lot. He's still still developing, but he's in there with a guy like Lee Moriarty who really is good, really knows every inch of that squared circle, as they say on commentary. And when you're in there with somebody like that, you look amazing, especially when there's a clash of styles, a clash of appearances. It's very similar to what happened with the Infantry and the Dark Order. They just look better because they're in the ring with somebody who really knows what they're doing. And Lee Moriarty is somebody that definitely knows what he's doing. So let's turn, guys, now to NWA Powerrr. This week's episode of Powerrr was basically the go-home show for Hard Times 2. Now, I gotta say, when I look at the card for Hard Times 2 and I see what I think they could have been or should have been promoting, it felt a little, mismanaged. We'll start off by saying that Chris Adonis comes out for a singles match. It appears to be against Pope. Pope reveals finally what the contents of that, or the conversation he had, the contents of the conversation that he had with somebody on the phone quite recently. And it turns out that it was none other than Nick Aldis. And Aldis was asking Pope if he could take his place. Now, the logical thing here is, well, why would Billy Corgan allow this? But luckily, Billy Corgan is on commentary for this entire episode and basically baptizes it, sanctifies it, and says go forward, because he is upset or doesn't like the fact that Strictly Business is ducking and dodging and getting away from Aldis and the dude. So he says, all right, cool, we'll have this match. It's fine. So Nick Aldis does what Nick Aldis does best, and that is beat the life out of people. And this was a good match, solid match. I think it was one of the longer matches of the night, which kind of makes sense considering who Nick Aldis is and his importance to the NWA, as well as Adonis and what Adonis can do. During the course of the match, we do have Tom Latimer come out to try to make the distraction, but it doesn't work because Aldis will be able to lock in that Kingsland Cloverleaf. In my mind, as I was saying it, I was like, don't mess it up. And then what did I do? I botched. But Nick Aldis did not botch when he had this hold locked in on Adonis. Adonis taps out, and the entire time that Aldis has him in the Kingsland Cloverleaf, there we go, he is staring bullets at none other than Tom Latimer. After the match, Latimer is thinking of getting into the ring, but Camille comes out and advises him that it is not smart to do that, which makes sense because Aldis and Latimer are supposed to have a match at the pay-per-view. You don't want to, I guess from a business standpoint, obviously you want people to pay, no free TV. But that doesn't necessarily make sense sometimes if there is a heated feud between two men. For example, Aldis doesn't necessarily care if he doesn't get paid as much because he beat the crap out of Latimer on $5 television, because you do have to pay to see Powerrr, as opposed to somebody paying $20 to see the pay-per-view. He just wants to get his hands on Latimer. And I guess maybe there is some kind of sense to it of the heel or even the face might be like, well, I'll get paid more if I get to beat the crap out of him on pay-per-view, and if I do it now, maybe I won't get paid as much, I guess. But Aldis doesn't care about it. Latimer, on the other hand, well, why should he do anything that Aldis wants, right? Now, the other thing to think of is from a strategic standpoint, it does make sense kayfabe-wise, because if you get into the ring now with Aldis, or Aldis gets in the ring now with Latimer, you might hurt yourself, and either A, the match is completely has to be canceled because one of you is injured, or B, you lose that match, and your rival, the person that you are in this heated rivalry with, has bragging rights over you until time in memoriam, or if you're WWE, about 3-4 months, because then they forget that things happen. So here it makes sense as to why Camille is getting Latimer out, despite the fact that they hate each other. But Billy Corgan isn't going to stand for that. So after we come back from break, Billy Corgan says, Latimer, get your ass out here. And you got to wrestle. You got to work tonight. And I don't care who it is, but I told them in the back, they got to get somebody out here to face you. And this is where there's a little bit of mismanagement, because this is Jaden Roller comes out. And if you don't really remember who that is, that's fine. Because the NWA apparently forgot who it is. That is a heel who was attacking Tim Storm at By Any Means Necessary, and then got his ass handed to him by Tim Storm when he asked for the match, when Roller asked for the match to be turned into a no disqualification match. Let's just take a step back. Latimer is a heel. Corgan wants whoever to come out to face him to beat Latimer up. And so the crowd should be projected onto that wrestler to be somebody who we want to see beat up Latimer. Why would you send me a heel? For the crowd, I guess for the crowd in the ring or in the arena, this is still stuff that's being taped at the Chase. So they don't know that necessarily that Roller is a heel. He did have a match a couple weeks ago where he was also kind of an asshole. So I guess maybe they do. But at the same time, it just doesn't make sense from a booking standpoint. Why would you send a heel out to do face business? I don't know. That didn't make a huge amount of sense to me, but whatever. After this, they have a backstage segment. Well, I mean, it's an empty arena segment, but it's supposed to be a backstage segment where Mae Valentine is talking to Tyrus and the gang, and we have somebody who looks like Scion because he's wearing the Scion mask, but sounds and acts a lot like Jordan Clearwater, especially because when this person who's claiming that they're Scion is saying that they're sorry for everything, and they keep saying, I'm 114% sorry or 110% sorry, which is Jordan Clearwater's bit. And then at the end of the segment, which, Tyrus pretends as that actually is Scion, Mai says, oh, thank you for your time, Jordan. And he goes, oh, no problem. So obviously it's Jordan. After this, we have a weird kind of match, I guess we'll call it that, between Kenzie Page and Taryn Terrell. Taryn Terrell allegedly has some kind of stipulation that she knows about, but Billy Corgan, who booked the match, says he did not put it into place. So I don't know what the hell's going on, but this booker man doesn't know what the hell is going on. Anyway, apparently it's going to be a social distancing match, which means they have to stay 6 feet apart from each other. And at first, you're like, wow, this is really weird, but then, and kind of annoying. But then from a behind the scenes perspective, it's actually kind of cool because they're doing things where 6 feet apart, Kenzie's doing like a motion to hit Taryn, and Taryn's taking a flat back bump. And it's just kind of interesting to see that from the perspective of, well, what happens if somebody isn't actually hitting them? How do you still take the bump? Like, she's doing a straight flat back bump. So it's interesting things like that. But then it just kind of gets wasted because Kenzie, when the ref is distracted, gets sprayed in the face with hand sanitizer or whatever. And so she goes after Taryn. Taryn rolls out of the ring, takes a count out loss, which she says she could not hear. So it's not a count out loss. And okay, cool, whatever. Next, we have a tag match. We have Colby Carino and JTG teaming up against the Rude Dudes, Sam Adonis, and I forget the other guy's name right now. But it's a quick match in the sense that it's really it's just there. We don't know. I mean, I understand kind of the reasoning behind the match, considering what happened last week, but it doesn't make sense because Saul Renaro was the one who got involved last week, not Sam Adonis' tag partner. So why isn't Saul tagging with Adonis? It doesn't compute properly. And the other thing to realize is that we are having these guys having a tag match and getting TV time. The same with Taryn and Kenzie Page. And there's zero promo happening for our tag title match, which is La Rebellion taking on the End, and our women's match, Camille versus Molina. And yes, they have developed these stories over the past couple weeks, sure. But this is your go-home show, right? Allegedly. You should want to have at least back segments. Give that TV time. Like, the total in-ring time for Kenzie Page and Taryn was about 2.5 minutes. And then the total time of everything involved, the segment itself, probably maybe 6 to 7 minutes. That's easily 2 promos. Easily. a promo from Melina backstage just talking about how she wants to win, something from Camille talking about how she wants to win, and maybe something even from the end talking about how they want to win. Just something that moves those storylines forward as we get closer to the pay-per-view. It would have even been great if Latimer beats Roller, which I assume we all realize was going to happen. And then Latimer naturally looks at Corgan and is like, yeah, you're going to be paying me, and I just beat the shit out of this guy. You brought him in here to take me down. I took him down, and you're paying me to take him down. Anyway, so if Latimer had been backstage with Camille, they show him like walking out of the building, right, or something like that, and somebody's catching him, Maya's running to catch a word. Latimer can put over the match or talk about the match with Aldis, and then Camille can say something about her title match against Melina, or May can ask about that, and Camille can be like, you see how much I don't care about talking about that match? That's how much I believe Melina is beneath me. Just that alone does something, as opposed to absolutely nothing. And the same could be said about La Rebellion versus the End. You could have had something to do instead of having just this random ass shit. Next, we have Jack Stane on the microphone at the interview desk. He's talking about how Corgan doesn't want to strip him of the championship series win, so he's going to try to steal it from him. And the way that's happening is there's going to be a tag match for our main event where Jack Stane is going to team with Jeremiah Plunkett versus our world's heavyweight champion Trevor Murdoch and Crimson. Now, here's where it gets a little funky. One, Jeremiah Plunkett, not a heel. Why is he teaming with a heel? Why did he agree to this? Why did he say, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. He's not a heel. So it doesn't make sense for him to help a heel, especially when he is going to take the fucking pin. It's obvious. Next. Why the hell is Jack Stane agreeing to this? And I understand you could be put in the match against your will, but just take the count out. Just take the obvious count out. He starts getting into this match, and he's still in street clothes, and they're having this match, and you're looking at them like, what are you guys doing? It doesn't make any sense. Why are we even having this match? Jack Stane is a dumb heel because he's not just leaving to take a count-out win, or a count-out win, because he would lose by count-out, of course, or by abandoning his partner, but the stipulation was if he got pinned, he loses the championship series thing. That's exactly what Corgan says, and that's what Jack Stane is told. The final thing about this is that when he starts leaving, he does actually leave and abandon Plunkett after a while. But then Corgan is saying, oh, yeah, if he leaves, he'll also lose. No, that's not what you told him. That's not what's his name? Kyle told Jack Stane was a stipulation for the match. He told him if you get pinned, you lose your championship series match. Otherwise, Jack Stane has no reason. He could just obviously, he could just leave. Now, if they had said your team is pinned, or you lose in any fashion, then yes, he has a reason to stay. But either he's a dumb heel for even being involved in this match in the first place and not just walking out, or he's a dumb heel for not realizing that he can lose his opportunity by walking out. Which one is it? Either way, he's an idiot. So anyway, that's the long and short of this week's episode of NWA Powerrr. Let's run down really quickly our preview for Hard Times 2 itself. So, and I'm getting these matches from Wikipedia. I'm not like there's not that much that interests me enough to really get into the nitty-gritty of it. There's a nice surprise that I saw, but I'm not doing that much digging into this because NWA has really not sold me on this pay-per-view. So we have a pre-show match, which is going to involve a whole shit ton of people, including Aria Daivari, C.W. Anderson, Homicide, the aforementioned Jeremiah Plunkett, who apparently I guess is a heel now, the Hawks family, Saul Renaro, a couple other guys. And it's going to be an NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship qualifying gauntlet match. I don't know the particulars of it. I don't know whether or not there's been no news about this junior heavyweight championship coming back. That's also a promo that could have been done, but they didn't want to do it. So why should I care? That's the real question. Like, I see this as a pre-show match, but why should I care when you didn't announce all these weeks that you're bringing back your junior heavyweight championship? Next, we have Jack Stane versus Mims with Crimson in his corner. Great way. Actually, I do like this to stretch out the feud. It's obvious that Mims is going to lose, but hey, stretch it out. Do what you can do. Mickie James versus To Be Announced. No idea. There's been no hint as to who this could be. There's really been no suggestions whatsoever. We have Colby Corino versus Doug Williams. That's just a match that's being thrown on here. Where was the promo for this? Nick Aldis versus Tom Latimer. Okay, here's a match we can predict. I'm going to predict that Nick Aldis takes the win over Tom Latimer because Aldis is either the top face or 1B to Murdoch's 1A. And 2, Aldis really doesn't lose that often. It's very rare. So unless they're going to really cement Latimer as one of the top heels, I kind of expect an Aldis win. Austin Aries versus Rhett Titus. NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship qualifying match. Again, where did this come from? But I'll go with Rhett Titus. I mean, there's really nobody. There's no way. It's a crapshoot. It's a 50-50 coin flip. I'm picking Rhett Titus because Austin Aries is historically difficult to work with. That's my reasoning. We have the OGK taking on Aaron Stevens and Jared Kratos. This was the match I was kind of surprised to see, and I'm kind of pleasantly surprised to see it. It's a tag team match for the ROH World Tag Team Championship. Obviously, that means that the OGK are going to retain, but I think it's going to be a good match, and that match is actually one that I'm looking forward to seeing. That's actually a pleasant surprise. We find out that the Hex are going to be defending against Kylie Ray and Tootie Lynn and Lady Frost and Natalia Markova. They did show some of these matches during this episode of Power, which again, I'm like, why are you just suddenly announcing these a week or so before this pay-per-view is supposed to happen? A little weird, but anyway. And then we have for here, that's going to be for the World's Women Tag Team Championships. I'm going to pick the Hex. We have Adonis putting the title up against Jedias for the NWA National Championship. I'm going to take Jedias to win the belt, and because I don't really know what the hell Adonis is doing with that belt at this point. It's wasted on him. At least Jedias, they've done some things with, and he can be a little bit of a monster heel. Which, again, they have a monster heel as their TV champion, but we'll see where that's going. Next, we have Camille versus Melina. Camille's retaining. Next, we have Laura Bellion versus The End. This would actually be kind of interesting. I kind of lean towards The End picking up the wins, but I can also see a situation where Laura Bellion retains the titles. I'm going to pick Laura Bellion. This is actually the match that I think could bite me when it comes to predictions. Tyrus versus Scion for the TV title. I'm thinking Tyrus is winning. We kind of know that Scion is Robert Anthony, but I don't think they're going to put the belt on Ego. And finally, in the main event, Trevor Murdoch versus Mike Knox. I'm taking Trevor Murdoch. It's been a really hot-shotted title match feud. There's been absolutely nothing really that's promoted this except for Mike Knox attacking Trevor Murdoch and then Mike Knox cutting a promo saying he's going to take the title from him. We've seen nothing really from Trevor Murdoch. Now, I will say this. A lot of this show can be saved by next week's episode, which I'm pretty sure is going to be a Power Surge episode. If they do those promos that I was talking about on Power Surge, they have an hour. They have an hour to sell us on this pay-per-view. 45 to 50 minutes, whatever you want to call it. Really good shot at doing it. Really, really good shot. And I think they can do it. I think they can pull it off. You just need to have some good promo work here. Go light on the matches. Go light on the matches. You don't need to have a lot of matches. Give me the promo work from some of these guys and gals to get me more interested in the episode, because otherwise, I don't know why people should want to tune in and watch. I know why I will be. If you're watching this, I know why you will be. But if you're trying to get new viewers, if you're trying to, get me, if I'm out here saying, hey, friend of mine who watches wrestling, watch this Power Surge episode, watch this NWA Powerrr episode because this pay-per-view is coming up and it looks interesting, and they watch it and it doesn't deliver, what's the point? So anyway, guys, that's the review of Dark Elevation and Powerrr and our preview for Hard Times 2. I don't know how exactly we're going to break down Hard Times 2. It might just be a Dark Powerrr special episode. We'll see how that works out. But I'll be with you every single step of the way. So until next time, guys, remember, take care of yourselves, take care of